so much for being here. My name's Janice Peterson. I'm from SBS World News, and it's my absolute pleasure to be back once again here with you all to celebrate the launch of Multicultural Health Week and in person. How about that? We have, of course, gone through a very difficult period as a state. We've had to work together to keep each other safe, which is why we're able to be here in Parliament House once again to celebrate this very special week. So thanks again for your support and for coming along. I think your best efforts really deserve a very big thank you. So from me to all of you, I know a lot of you have worked very hard in this sector. Thank you. Thank you so much. And for those who are unable to be with us here in person, who are watching us live on Zoom, a big hello to you all online, and thanks again for your support. Now, I thought it might be fitting for us to start our celebration of Multicultural Health Week by saying a big hello, warm welcome to each and every one of you, for everyone here at Parliament House, and for those who are watching in a room with other people. Here's a little exercise. We're going to turn to the person to our right and say hello. It might be a simple hello. We'd love you to say hello in language. So feel free to say it in language too. But what a wonderful way to kick things off. I can see lots of beautiful smiles, a celebratory hello in multiple languages, a g'day. It all means the same thing. It's wonderful to be here to celebrate together some of the amazing work that's been taken to promote the health and well-being of multicultural communities here in this most fantastic state of New South Wales. I'd like to begin by acknowledging the Gadigal people of the Eora Nation as the traditional owners of the land on which we meet today. I'd also like to extend my respects to any First Nations people here today. Thank you so much for welcoming us. And for anyone tuning in online, I'd like to extend my respects to the traditional owners of the land on which you're joining us from today. So thank you and hello once again. Now, I'm really excited, as I am every year, with the lineup of expert speakers we have for this morning. We have the Honourable Minister for Health, Brad Hazzard. He's here, kind enough to join us for this launch of this very important week. Thank you, Minister. Before we begin with the program, though, just a couple of seconds to go through some housekeeping matters. Everyone here, please put your phones on silent. Now, that doesn't mean you need to put them away. We definitely want you to take as many photos as you would like today. If you do, please share your comments and posts with the Multicultural Health Week hashtag. That is hashtag Multicultural Health Week on the New South Wales Multicultural Health Communications Service, or the MHCS social pages, Facebook, Twitter, LinkedIn, Instagram pages, as well as WeChat. We want you to get engaged. Please tell your friends, your family, your colleagues, your social networks about the great work that's being done. So don't hesitate to share, snap away and share those pictures of this event. Now, today also, you might have noticed we have an official photographer as well as a camera person who will be taking photos, capturing the celebration today all throughout the morning. Now, if you don't want to be in that video, if you don't want your photograph taken, that's fine. Please let someone from the MHCS team know. You might also feel a bit more comfortable if you move to the back of the theaterette, so you're sort of not in the glare of the cameras. That might also be a way of making yourself a bit more comfortable. Folks, the toilets are located just outside. Again, if you see a member of the team, they can direct you to the bathrooms. And in the unlikely case of an emergency, we'd like you to form a line, move towards the signs leading to the exits. So just look for the green man running for his life. That's probably a good indication of what to do. I would like to now call to the stage Mr. Brendan Kieran from the Metropolitan Aboriginal Land Council to present the official welcome to country. So please welcome Brendan to the stage. Thank you so much, Brendan.
Good morning, everyone. My name is Brendan. I'm the cultural representative and the cultural educator for Metropolitan Local Aboriginal Land Council in Sydney. And our role as Aboriginal Land Council under the Land Rights Act, we are the cultural authority, the guardians and custodians of land within our boundaries. Guardians and custodians are unfortunately not traditional owners. That definition of traditional owner must have an ongoing, continual connection to country. And unfortunately, that connection was severed when Cook landed. The land we're on, before I welcome people to the land we're on, I share a bit of the history because it's a package deal. Welcome the country, welcome the history and the people as well. So as I mentioned earlier, just down the road for First Nation people was Ground Zero. In less than 50 years of the invasion of Captain Cook Landing, 80% of my people was wiped out within Sydney and the East Coast. In less than 50 years, 80%. A lot of that had to do with the flu and the smallpox. And once the English realised that it was absolutely devastating for us, deliberately infecting blankets and clothing and handing that out to community. So used chemical warfare. And then as community from Sydney ran and literally ran for the hills, they came in contact with other communities and disease spread. The first people to go were our elders. So there went our wisdom and knowledge, and the second to go were the young people. There went the future. If I fast forward that timeline a little bit, we had a whole period and an era of massacres and slaughters. There was 500 of my family members that were slaughtered, men, women and children, just over water for cattle to drink. One of the major problems that we had back in those days was there was already a law in place before Cook and the English came with their law. And one of our laws in my language is called Napaji Napaji. And Napaji Napaji means what you take from me, I can take from you. And you take from me what I know you need, and I'll take from you what you know I'll need. And so when the pastoralists came, they set up their farmlands on what was already being farmland. We had our yams and our nuts and berries growing. So the cattle, when they came, they were eating our yams and nuts and berries. So my people sat back and thought, oh, Napaji, Napaji, you'll take from me, I take from you. So we took the sheep and the cattle. But unfortunately, the white fellas didn't understand that law, and we ended up getting, my people ended up getting slaughtered for stealing sheep. If we fast forward that timeline a little bit, we had a whole period of the Kidnap Generation. I don't like to use the word stolen generation. I prefer Kidnap Generation because that's what it was. My mother was part of that generation. She was taken at the age of 5, her and my aunties and uncles. And they were shipped, they were locked up in jail for 2 weeks. My aunties went to Cootamundra Girls' Home. My uncles went to Kinchela Boys' Home. And the babies of the family went to Bomaderry, who was down in Wollongong. And they never saw their parents again. And they were sent, these places were training camps for our elders, our aunties and uncles to be trained and taught how to be servants and slaves. They were punished for speaking language, punished for practicing culture. And they were sent out to white families to work. Never got paid a red cent for the work they did. As soon as they turned 18, they were spat out into society with nothing. And that took place under the care of the Aborigines Protection Board. In the 1950s and 1960s, my people came under the Flora and Fauna Act. Flora and fauna. So we weren't even considered human, 1950s and 1960s. 1971, I was born at Crown Street Women's Hospital in Surrey Hills. Born and bred, lived in Sydney my whole life. That hospital was the last place that I ever felt my mother's touch. And 7 years ago, I found her grave. And as I mentioned earlier, I'm second generation of my family that's been taken. I'm one of 10 siblings that have been removed. As I said, never saw mum again. I've met one auntie. And for me, growing up as an Aboriginal person, connection to country and family is one of the most important things for us. And once I was taken from mum, that connection to country was taken. That connection to family was taken. That connection to language and culture was taken. So there goes my identity. Who am I and where do I come from? I grew up at a time in Sydney where the colour of my skin dictated who I was and where I came from. So I was told by a lot of people who I was and where I came from. And that started for me at 6 months of age. I used to run away from home. And the police would pick me up and bring me back home. On one occasion, they took me to a house 5 houses up the road because that's where an Italian family was living. And they thought I was a little Italian boy. So when we talk about multicultural, I'm going to share of how multicultural I became during my life. I went to primary school where it was compulsory for everyone to learn Arabic. So I have the Italian label stuck on there. Is that better? After going to primary school, I've got the Middle East and Lebanese label stuck on there as well. I lived in Newtown for a while, and there's a Greek community in Newtown. And those old fellas used to talk to me in their language, and I'd say, I don't know what you're talking about, mate. And they'd say, oh, I'm sorry, you look like you come from Cyprus. I lived in Marrickville for a while, in the Maltese community in Marrickville. And the same thing happened over there. Talking to me in the language, I don't know what you're talking about. And I go, you look like you come from Malta. Are you sure you're not related to the Phoenix? And then one day I thought about it. This happened my whole life. And unfortunately, the only ones that ever got the labelling right was the police. But one day I had to think about it. I was like a chameleon. I could chop and change and go to these different ethnic communities and blend in. And I thought, if I was to go and rob a bank, would the description of the bank robber be Middle Eastern European? And would I be able to get away with it? I never robbed the bank. I did think about it for a while. I did think about it seriously. And that's been my life growing up within Sydney. And I share this little bit of local history and my history. So when you have a welcome to country, just have a little bit of think about what we've been through to get to where we are today. We are the world's oldest living culture. We've been here for 250,000 years BC, and the BC stands for before Cook. The land that we're gathered on here today is Gadigal. It's Gadigal land. Gadigal is one of 29 tribes which make up the Eora Nation. And the boundaries for the Eora Nation start from the ocean, and they're surrounded by three of Australia's most beautiful rivers. We've got the Hawkesbury River, the Nepean River, and the Georges River. And in between those three mighty and beautiful rivers, we've got 29 clans which make up the Eora Nation. And the name of the clan that we're gathered on here this morning is Gadigal. So always, first and foremost, on behalf of those Gadigal ancestors, because their spirit is still in the land, on behalf of Metropolitan Aboriginal Land Council as the cultural authority, and on behalf of myself, welcome everyone here this morning. Just before I leave, I've spent a lot of my time working in the trauma sort of arena. I'm a trauma specialist counsellor. I've worked in child protection, I've worked in homelessness, mental health, chronic disease, suicide prevention. And I was talking to Sam last week, and quite often I would work in with the migrant resource centres. And that was basically because the new migrants that were coming here with the language barrier, trying to navigate through a lot of these services. And I said to her, listen, I'm born and bred here. And there's nothing wrong with my English. And I still have problems trying to navigate through some of the services, just based on not fully and quite understanding the language or the forms or the questions. So I could just imagine how hard it would be for our new migrants in this country. So and I've had a quick look outside for the cancer, and what a brilliant idea. It's what's needed, that support. So I'm honoured to be here today, this morning. Thank you for having me. I'd love to hang around a little bit longer, but unfortunately I've got to go and pay a white fella by the name of Wilson for parking on my own land. And he's not cheap, that fella. I was at Town Hall one day, Sydney Symphony Orchestra, and one of the big bosses came down and she said, Uncle Brendan, we love your welcome to countries, but tonight, can you not do the Wilson joke? And the first thing I said to her, I said, it's not a joke. I've got to go and pay this fella all the time for parking. I said, why can't I do it? And she said, because he's in the audience tonight. And we're trying to get a little bit of funding off him. And so straight away, I had the devil popped on this shoulder and the angel was on this shoulder. And the devil's saying to me, go on, brother, do it. He's sitting out there. Go and give it to him. And the angel's saying, don't you do it, Brendan. Don't do it. I didn't end up doing it. And I've kicked myself ever since for not doing it. But yeah, the Wilson joke, it's not a joke. I do have to go and pay him. He's not cheap. Thank you for having me here this morning, everyone. Once again, welcome to Gadigal country.
Thanks again, Brendan, for that incredible welcome to country. A lot of us were really moved, truly heartfelt sentiments there from you. And how humbling is that to go through that sort of trauma, that generational trauma, and to have the generosity to, welcome all of us onto your land. Thank you so much, Brendan. Oh, that was pretty amazing. Well, now it's time to officially start today's launch event. Now, the theme, as Brendan touched on there, the theme for Multicultural Health Week this year is Cancer Screening Saves Lives. Our next speaker knows all about the importance of preventative healthcare and patient-centred care. So it's now my great pleasure to introduce Ms. Kim Olsen, Executive Director, Operations of the South Eastern Sydney Local Health District. Now, just before you get up on stage, Kim, I'd like to give you a bit of background. Kim brings a wealth of experience to her role as Executive Director, having also been the District Director of Nursing and Midwifery in the South East Sydney Local Health District. She was also accountable for the nursing and midwifery portfolio right across the district, ensuring that there's safe and high quality patient-centred care. So now it's time to officially welcome Kim Olsen. Thank you.
Thank you very much. I too would like to acknowledge the traditional custodians of the lands that we're meeting on today and pay my respects to elders, past, present, and those that are emerging. I'd also like to pay my respects to the elders and the community leaders of the multicultural communities. I'm here representing Toby Wilson, who's so sorry that he can't be here today. He's at a Father's Day picnic with his son, because I'm sure his son will never forgive him if he doesn't come to it, because he hasn't forgiven his mother yet for not going to the Mother's Day picnic. So I'd like to thank you, Janice, for the introduction, and also pay my respects and thanks to Brendan for his generous welcome to country this morning. It gives me great pleasure to be at today's events. When I was Director of Nursing and Midwifery, I had the portfolio of multicultural health and also breast screening. So it's wonderful to see the merging of the two today. I'd like to thank everyone for coming to this important celebration of work that's done across New South Wales Health. And it's all about improving the health and wellbeing of the culturally and linguistically diverse communities. And I'd like to recognise our special guest, the Honourable Brad Hazzard, Minister for Health, and welcome and thank you so much for coming today. Lisa Woodlands, who has the longest title known to mankind, Lisa. We have to do something about that one. Lisa's Director of Multicultural Health Communication Service, Director of Priority Populations and Health Promotion in South Eastern Sydney Local Health District. I'd also like to welcome and thank for coming Professor Tracy O'Brien, Chief Cancer Officer New South Wales and Chief Executive Officer Cancer Institute New South Wales, and of course Tony Jackson, who's the Acting Director of Population and Community Health within South Eastern Sydney. Our district, South Eastern Sydney, is so proud to host New South Wales Multicultural Communication Health Service. And this service has been coordinating Multicultural Health Week since 2009. So it's been a very long partnership and ongoing work that they've been doing in this area. This is an annual event which raises awareness of health issues and especially for the culturally diverse communities. Looking how we can address health services and how those issues can be brought to the forefront of people's minds. This year's is such an exciting theme, and it's Screening Saves Lives. The COVID-19 pandemic affected us in so many ways and so many lives, including the access to health services and particularly the prevention health services, and those are being, in particular, the cancer screening programs. The pandemic has disproportionately impacted on the cultural communities, many of whom already have low rates of cancer screening. This is why we have chosen screening as a theme for this year's Multicultural Health Week, to improve the rates of cancer screening and cancer outcomes of people from our cultural diverse communities. It's wonderful that the Multicultural Health Communication Service has set up a partnership team with the Cancer Institute. I'd also like to especially comment on the outstanding efforts by all health services and partners in bringing a focus of cancer screening and promoting the three national programs, that being breast screening, cervical screening and bowel cancer screening. This collaboration has resulted in the development of much needed resources, including radio ads in English and 19 other languages, a video in English and 5 other languages, fact sheets, posters and media, social media campaign tiles that are accessing cancer screening programs in 39 languages. All these resources are available to health workers, community organisations, community members and the media. And they're on the Multicultural Health Week website, the New South Wales Health Multicultural Health Service website and the Cancer Institute of New South Wales website. So in closing, I'd again like to welcome you and to this launch of Multicultural Health Week and congratulate you and all our colleagues for the great work that they're doing. Thank you.
I just have to get my notes in order, but thank you so much, Kim. What a pleasure it is to have you with us today. And thank you so much for that introduction to how important this week is and how many lives it will impact. This year, the New South Wales Multicultural Health Communication Service, the MHCS, with funding from the Ministry of Health, has partnered with Cancer Institute New South Wales to raise awareness about the importance of breast, cervical and bowel cancer screening in cold communities. The Cancer Institute is a pillar of New South Wales Health, providing the strategic direction for cancer control. Now, this institute works right across the healthcare system to reduce the incidence of cancer in the community, also to increase the survival rate of people diagnosed with cancer, and also to improve the quality of life for people with cancer, and to provide expertise on cancer to the government, health service providers, medical researchers, and the general community. So they do fantastic work. This is a good opportunity to show you how it impacts people. So we'll show you a video testimonial now from Galib Al-Bakri, that from the Arabic bilingual community educator from New South Wales Refugee Health Service. Galib has his own story. He arrived in Australia back in 2001 from Baghdad in Iraq, and he's delivered, in collaboration with the Cancer Institute New South Wales, many educational sessions to the Arabic-speaking community, in particular about the importance of bowel cancer screening, with a focus on men's health. So a lot of work has been put into the sort of work that he does. So let's hear Galib speak now about his valuable work.
These programs have allowed us opportunity to connect with the community and to explain the nature of the disease and the importance of the bowel cancer test and how to do it. It is also a way to discuss and address the reasons that can prevent or discourage the Arabic community from doing the test. The community often mention the language barrier. A lot of the time, people have received the test kit, but they didn't know what it was or couldn't follow the instruction, so they throw it away. At our sessions, we provide in-language information on bowel screening, and we also go through the test kit step by step on how it is done. This gives people the confidence to complete the next test next time. Another barrier is education and culture. Most people in the Middle East are not familiar with the bowel cancer and what screening test does. Culturally, people don't like to talk about cancer. And in some countries, they refer to it as only that disease. Many Arabic people still have the old belief that a person who has cancer is going to die. Therefore, we focus on increasing people's understanding that it is much better if cancer is detected earlier, because it is more likely to be treated successfully. We highlight the bowel cancer test is one way to detect cancer very early, and many participants become more willing to do the test.
Galib, thanks so much for sharing your experience. Great to hear about the valuable work that you've been doing as well. That really hit home, I suppose, that message of early detection, early intervention, and getting in early with your tests makes it a much more favourable outcome. So well done, Galib, for communicating that so thoroughly and clearly. Thank you. Well, friends, did you know that it's now been 13 years since the New South Wales Multicultural Health Communication, or MHCS, has been successfully coordinating these sorts of events? Multicultural Health Week for the New South Wales Ministry of Health. It's been quite a ride. I'm really honoured to have been your MC and host since 2011. So we've been through a lot together, a lot of familiar faces. And thanks again, everyone, for your support. MHCS was established back in 1997 by New South Wales Health, and it's really designed to help strengthen the capacity of health services and programs to effectively and appropriately communicate with people from culturally and linguistically diverse backgrounds, and also to coordinate the provision of multilingual health information. And I know that SBS has played a hand in that as well. Now, this team has been working collaboratively and effectively over the last 13 years, planning Multicultural Health Week in partnership with Multicultural Health Services across local health districts. And I know that a lot of you have also played a big role in that. So thank you so much again for your hard work. Now, friends, I'd like to introduce our next speaker, who proudly leads the team at MHCS, and she'll speak about the community engagement program for this year, also the new resources developed to promote cancer screening in a very impressive number of languages. Everyone, please put your hands together for Lisa Woodland, the Director of New South Wales Multicultural Communication Service. And just before you get up here, Lisa, again, I'll give you a tiny bit of background to her impressive portfolio. She's also the Director of Priority Populations and Health Promotion at the South Eastern Sydney Local Health District, as well as conjoint lecturer for the Centre for Primary Healthcare and Equity at the University of New South Wales. So she's a very busy lady. Lisa has over 20 years experience working with culturally and linguistically diverse communities. That includes developing, implementing, evaluating health promotion and education programs, policies and plans, projects, tailored service models to meet the needs of culturally and linguistically diverse communities. So a big welcome to Lisa Woodland. Thank you.
Thank you very much, Janice. And as you can see, I do have the longest title, which definitely I need to do something about, Kim, I agree. It's lovely to be here with you in person for the launch of Multicultural Health Week, and a special thank you to Minister Hazzard for being with us today. I'd like to start by acknowledging the traditional custodians of the land, and it's been a great honour and privilege to be welcomed to the land of the Gadigal people by Brendan, and I pay my respects to elders past, present and emerging. I'd also like to pay my respects to people of migrant and refugee backgrounds who've come from all around the world to make Australia their home and to contribute to our rich multicultural society. Thank you, Kim, for highlighting the importance of this year's theme, Cancer Screening Saves Lives. We know that people from culturally and linguistically diverse communities face numerous challenges accessing cancer prevention programs, screening programs, early diagnosis, and timely treatment. Language and cultural barriers play a significant role in this poorer access, experience, and outcomes for multicultural communities. One of the key priorities for the Multicultural Health Communication Service is to develop and promote multilingual information that supports safe, high-quality care and promotes the use of professional interpreters. As you've heard, for this week's Multicultural Health Week, we've worked very closely with the Cancer Institute to make cancer screening information available in multiple languages. To ensure the quality of this information, we've conducted stakeholder consultations and employed co-design and health literacy principles. As mentioned by Kim, we have a suite of resources in multiple languages to encourage participation in the 3 national cancer screening programs. This has been our most ambitious Multicultural Health Week to date and made possible by the wonderful partnership with the Cancer Institute. The first resource is a combined cancer screening fact sheet, What is Cancer Screening?, which brings together information on the 3 national screening programs into one document. And this fact sheet is available in 38 languages. The second set of resources are posters, social media tiles and postcards, also available in 38 languages. that link community members and health professionals through a QR code to the combined cancer screening fact sheet in the relevant languages. Thirdly, the Multicultural Health Communications Service and Cancer Institute, in partnership with SBS, have produced 45-second radio ads promoting the 3 cancer screening programs in English and 19 languages. And these will be broadcast on SBS radio programs, as well as community language programs across New South Wales. Also in partnership with SBS, we have produced a video in 6 languages for digital and social media promotion on multimedia platforms. And we'll have a chance to view this video later in the program. Again, as Kim mentioned, these cancer screening resources are freely available and can be downloaded from a range of places, including the Multicultural Health website, the Multicultural Health Week website, and the Cancer Institute website. Another really exciting initiative for Multicultural Health Week is our Community Grants program. We have offered grants of $1,500 to local health districts and community organisations to support community engagement activities with culturally and linguistically diverse communities. The purpose of the grants is to use existing social networks to increase community knowledge and community confidence to enhance participation in cancer screening. We have supported these organisations with access to bilingual health professionals and trained bilingual community educators, and translated the evaluation forms into 23 languages. And while these grants are very small in scope, they're very big in impact. We know from the research that these types of community engagement activities within communities are very effective in building knowledge and confidence around health messages. We're also aware of the need to reach people working within our organisations. And this week we'll be hosting events at the Ministry of Health and SBS, which will complement the many events being hosted by Multicultural Health Services across New South Wales. In closing, I'd like to thank the Ministry of Health for their ongoing support for Multicultural Health Week. I'd also like to thank the many members of the Multicultural Health Week Steering Committee that have led the development of the resources and have all contributed to the success of this year's celebrations and activities. I particularly wanted to highlight the exceptional contribution of the consumer representatives on the Steering Committee, Tit Tew, Padman Kuramil, and Rukmini Raman. They have been strong advocates for ensuring our resources and activities meet the needs of multicultural communities. I would also like to give a special thank you to Sheetal Chalam, Multicultural Strategic Advisor at the Cancer Institute, who has provided the magic to make this all happen so seamlessly between our organisations. And also Gaia Dharmagesan, who has been leading this initiative on behalf of Multicultural Health Communications Service. A big thank you also to the district and statewide Multicultural Health Services and Healthcare Interpreter Services, who have contributed to and shared in the development of the resources, as well as my fabulous Multicultural Health Communications Service team. Thank you all for participating in the event today. And I encourage you to spread the message far and wide that cancer screening saves lives. Thank you.
Thanks again, Lisa. Wonderful to hear how people can dip into these resources and just how vital it will be. Cancer screening saves lives. The message of this year's Multicultural Health Week says it all. So thank you, Lisa, once again for highlighting the importance of this week. Now, it's my great pleasure to introduce another video testimonial, this time from an amazing woman whose passion and commitment to social causes has been instrumental in her contribution to community initiatives. She is the president of the Pink Sari Inc. She's currently on the Cancer Institute New South Wales Community and Consumer Advisory Panel. So let's now watch this video from Shanta Viswanathan as she shares how Pink Sari raises awareness about cancer screening and prevention and also supports those impacted by cancer. Shanta will also talk about how they've been actively raising awareness about the importance of cervical, or some people say cervical screening, among the Indian and Sri Lankan communities in this state. So let's take a look.
We have been encouraging all women aged 25 to 74 years who have ever been sexually active, even with just one partner or only with the same-sex partner, to go for a cervical screening test every 5 years. With our work in community, we know there can be several barriers for women to go for cervical screening. This can include new migrants not making time for their own health when they are trying to settle into a new country, or older women who are not sexually active thinking they do not need a cervical screening test. That's why it is important that we provide culturally appropriate education to help our community understand the importance of cervical screening and how they can participate, as well as promoting the recent policy change, allowing all women the option to choose self-collection. All women now have two options for having a cervical screening test: to have a health professional collect their sample, to collect their own vaginal sample, known as self-collection, in private, both done at a healthcare clinic. Both screening options are equally safe, effective, and accurate. This is an exciting update because it empowers women in our community with choice in how they participate in cervical screening.
Thank you. Thank you very much, Shanta. Shanta is here with us today. So thank you so much. Was that good seeing yourself up on the big screen? She's being very coy, but thank you so much for the wonderful work you do for Pink Sari. It's wonderful. And please continue to do the important work that you do with the South Asian communities. Thank you once again. I'd like to now introduce our next speaker. Now, in May this year, Professor Tracy O'Brien was appointed the New South Wales Chief Cancer Officer and CEO of the Cancer Institute New South Wales. Tracy is an internationally respected paediatric oncologist and cancer researcher. She has over 20 years of success in igniting collaboration and fueling sector innovation. Tracy has a deep understanding of the complexities of the health system, also a proven track record of turning vision into results, and also to drive system solutions to improve outcomes. Tracy has a host of achievements, a huge amount of accolades, but I know we're running quite behind time. So I think, ladies and gentlemen, and all of us here today, please welcome Tracy O'Brien.
Thank you, Janice, for that warm welcome. On behalf of the Cancer Institute of New South Wales, I'm delighted to be here at the launch of the 2022 Multicultural Health Week, with this year's focus on cancer screening. I too would like to acknowledge the traditional owners on the land on which we're meeting, the Gadigal people of the Eora Nation, and pay my respects to elders past and present, and extend that respect to any Aboriginal colleagues joining us today. I'd also like to pay my respects to community leaders from all of the multicultural groups here today. To my fellow speakers, the Honourable Brad Hazzard, Minister of Health, to Kim Olsen, the Director of Operations at Southeastern Sydney Local Health District, and to Lisa Woodland, Director of the New South Wales Multicultural Health Communication Service. I thank each of you for your work in raising awareness of the importance of cancer screening in multicultural communities. I'd also like to applaud the work of the many multicultural health service teams embedded across the local health districts, working to improve health outcomes for multicultural communities. To pay special thank you to Sheetal Chalam, the Multicultural Program Lead at the Cancer Institute of New South Wales, and to Sarah McGill, the Director of the Screening and Prevention Program. To Janice Peterson and your colleagues at the SBS, I thank you for your leadership in sharing vital health messages to multicultural communities through your media channels. Now, most importantly, I'd like to extend my personal thanks to Reila Al-Bakri, to Shanta Vishwanathan, and to Lida Mangal for sharing their video stories today about the important work that they're doing with communities to increase multicultural awareness about cancer screening. The Cancer Institute of New South Wales is absolutely honoured that cancer screening is the focus of this year's Multicultural Health Week. Under the new 5-year cancer plan for New South Wales, launched by the Honourable Minister Hazzard earlier this year, our aim is to achieve equitable cancer outcomes for all people of New South Wales. Now, to do this, we have a laser focus on communities that we know have poorer outcomes, and this includes the many culturally and linguistically diverse communities of New South Wales. Early detection of cancer is critical to saving lives. I'll say it again because it's important. Early detection of cancer is critical to saving lives. We have some of the best cancer screening programs in the world for cervical, bowel, and breast cancers. These simple free tests can detect cancer long before symptoms can develop, and when the chances of cure are at their highest. Better still, for some people, these screening programs can even pick up changes that can be easily treated before cancer develops. But we do know, however, that people from multicultural communities are less likely to participate in these free cancer screening programs, putting them at risk of more advanced cancers, of worse outcomes, including potentially higher rates of dying. This must change. Now, there are many reasons why participation in cancer screening programs are lower in multicultural communities. Low awareness about the availability of these free programs and the important role they play in saving lives is one reason, particularly for people who may not have had access to screening programs in their home countries. Now, we also know that language barriers can be a barrier to limit access to health service. And in many cultures, there is still a sense of shame, of blame, or even stigma around the diagnosis of cancer, or even the screening process itself. This Multicultural Health Week is a crucial way to shine a light on the importance of cancer screening and to start conversations with communities about helping to break down some of these barriers. My message is very simple today. Cancer impacts too many people in our communities. In New South Wales, 1 in 2 people will be diagnosed with cancer in their lifetime. But cancer does not have to be a death sentence anymore, and there certainly should be no blame or shame in receiving a cancer diagnosis. Around 70% of all people diagnosed with cancer now survive long term. Finding cancers early is your best chance of cure. If you are eligible for screening, do the test. Do it for yourself. Do it for your loved ones. Do it for your community. Cancer screening saves lives. It's that simple. Thank you very much.
Thanks again, Tracy, for those powerful words. A big thank you to your team at Cancer Institute New South Wales for all the amazing support and work that you do. Again, that message of early detection, do those tests early. Early detection can save lives. I think, Tracy, you made that point really powerfully and it really hit home. And thank goodness we're able to disseminate that information in so many different languages. So again, what an important theme it is this week. It's now time to hear another real life experience today, another incredible person. We'll hear from Lida Mangal, who's an advocate for Afghan women, supporting them to stay healthy and also to be very safe. So Lida arrived in Australia in 2005 from Kabul in Afghanistan, a place that we hear so much about. She's provided support to multicultural organisations as a bilingual educator. She's also mainly worked with women from the Afghan community to improve their health literacy, their safety, their awareness of the 3 national cancer screening programs. So let's now watch Lida's video and she'll share a little bit about the importance of breast screening and how much that impacts women from multicultural communities. Thank you.
I am passionate about seeing more people from Afghan and multicultural communities to take part in screening because finding and treating breast cancer early saves lives. In Australia, all women between 50 to 74 years are eligible for screening every 2 years. Breast screening is the most effective way to find breast cancer early. I want to share my aunt's story. After she lost her battle with breast cancer, she was not aware that she had anything wrong. So she was not diagnosed until the cancer was in the 2nd stage. Nobody knew much about it in Kabul. There was a lack of awareness and knowledge of women's vulnerability to cancer as we age. After a long journey, sadly, she lost her battle. If she had lived in a country like Australia and had been better informed and more, she may still be alive today. Therefore, we must understand how lucky we are to live in a country where we have a screening for early detection of cancer. Breast Screen has many clinics across New South Wales as well as mobile vans. The X-ray rooms are very private with just you and the female staff present. You can book an appointment online or by calling 132050. You can always ask your family doctor or GP to help you to find your nearest clinic and how to get an interpreter if you need one. Together, we can improve our health by booking in a breast screen. It's free and it may just save your life.
Thank you so much, Lida, for those amazing words. She's down the front row. Come on. Get on your feet. Let's give another round of applause to Lida. Well done, Lida. And we're all oohing and ahhing and sighing and just you're looking absolutely resplendent. Not only are you fantastic and knowledgeable and smart and intelligent, but you look amazing. You look amazing. Thank you. Oh, thank you. You're also my favorite. Oh, that's very, oh, you got a lot of love in the room today. That's lovely. Thanks again, Lida. Absolutely fantastic. It's now time for another video showcase. So a very quick one. This was produced for this year's Multicultural Health Week by New South Wales Multicultural Health Communications Service and Cancer Institute New South Wales. I'm very proud to announce it was also in partnership with the best broadcaster on the planet. You know who I'm talking about, SBS, and it highlights the 3 national cancer screening programs. So let's take a look.
Did you know cancer screening is an important part of looking after your health? We all know it's good to eat well, exercise every day and get plenty of sleep. For Multicultural Health Week this year, we want you to know that screening for cancer is also important. People in New South Wales are eligible for free cancer screening tests that could save your life. It's one of the best ways to find cancer early, even before you have symptoms. There are 3 tests: cervical, breast and bowel cancer screening. The tests are easy to do and could save your life. Now is the time to talk to your GP and make sure you are up to date with your health checks. It will help you to stay well so you can keep enjoying what you love to do with family and friends. Finding cancer early could save your life. For more information, speak with your GP or visit cancer.nsw.gov.au.
And it's hard, isn't it, to think of anyone who hasn't been impacted in some way. We all know someone who has been affected by cancer. Some of us ourselves have been. So this is an incredibly important message. That video is not only available in English, it's also available in Arabic, Mandarin, Cantonese, Korean, and Vietnamese, and it will be available to download for your use on the Multicultural Health Week website, so check it out. It's now my great pleasure to introduce the Honourable Minister for Health, Brad Hazzard, to the stage. Minister Hazzard has been our Minister for Health in this great state of New South Wales since January 2017. We're so honoured to have him with us here today to launch Multicultural Health Week. We all know the past 2.5 years have been pretty hectic. They've been very challenging. And we know that, some people have had to deal very seriously with the COVID-19 pandemic. We also know that cancer screening is crucial in the prevention and early detection of cancer. So I'd like to now thank Minister Hazzard for being with us here this morning to launch Multicultural Health Week and encourage everyone from culturally and linguistically diverse communities who are eligible to get screened. But please welcome Minister for Health, Brad Hazzard.
Thanks very much, Janice. And I want to start also by acknowledging the traditional owners of the land upon which we are having this incredibly important meeting, and thank them for their custodianship of land for about 60,000 years. Uncle Brendan isn't here now, but I just want to thank him. I think he reminded us of the challenges that Aboriginal people have had in this nation, and thank him for his very effective welcome to country. Look, this week is really important for our CALD community. The simple fact is that around about 30% of our community, our amazing community here in New South Wales, was born overseas. So technically, linguistically diverse. And I think the challenge for us is to make sure that we can get the message across to everybody who may need to hear that message about the necessity for screening and the fact that in this Multicultural Health Week, we should really emphasise that message that obviously cancer screening saves lives. Lisa, Kim, Tracy, thank you so much for the messages that you gave, but also Thunter, where are you sitting now? Who I heard you were there somewhere, I think. She's gone shy. There she is, hidden behind the mask. And Lita, thank you for both of your messages. The reality is that we have experienced, as Janice just said, a rough 2.5 years. Hasn't been very pleasant for any of us. But it did remind me as Health Minister of the absolute importance of getting the messages to our multicultural communities on a whole range of health issues. This week, it's obviously about bowel cancer, breast cancer, and interestingly, cervical or cervical. Can't even get it right in English. I've got to say, I just on a side here, sideline, we say it's difficult to get the message across to the broader multicultural community. I can't tell you how many times I've spoken to senior health officials when I've been talking about cervical or cervical cancer. Which is it? This morning, the latest advice was it's cervical. 2 weeks ago, it was cervical. So there you go. We can't even get it right in English. So how the heavens could people from overseas actually understand some of these very important messages? We need to make sure that we do it in a way that actually reaches out to them. And of course, each of the cancers that we're focusing on in the next week, but hopefully for many months ahead, are very treatable and preventable. I think as we were just talking about breast screening, when I first came into this place, into this parliament 32 years ago, breast cancer was basically, if you got it, about 50% survival rate. Now it's up over 90% survival rate. That's a really, really strong message that, yeah, it's amazing. And those messages we have to get to our own community, in the CAL community, and of course the non-CAL community. We have to make sure everybody understands the value of screening. And of course, with cervical or cervical cancer, usually caused by the human papillomavirus, we've had programs here in this country for about, I think it must be about 25 years now, first girls, then boys, to have vaccinations at around about 13, 14 years old, and that's making a huge difference. But we should not forget that so many people who make up our amazing community have come from overseas, and they haven't had that opportunity for that vaccination prevention. And so it is so important that we make sure that they also know that screening is freely available. And of course, it has changed a little bit. I think it was, must have been the first year I was the health minister. So I think that was 2017. We changed the way that what used to be called pap smears, but the screening process occurs. And as we heard a little earlier, it can be done in different ways now. If you're particularly concerned about your privacy, there are things that ways that can be achieved that you can respect that privacy. And that's very important, again, for many women from various cultures across the world. So I'm absolutely delighted to be here with so many of our wonderful non-government organisations, our medical people from New South Wales Health, but also the various parts of New South Wales Health. Tracy from the Cancer Institute, thank you very much for all the work the Institute does. But to bring you all together and to make sure that we can get those messages out in a way that people hear them, a way that people understand them, is so important. If I needed to be reminded of that, recently I had dinner with some friends who live not far from me. They moved in not so long ago, Indian folks, and we were talking about the difficulties of language. And they were telling me that their son went to a government school, and they thought, well, this is good, it's going to be free. And then a few weeks later, they had a function that they were all required to pay a gold coin. And of course, they were up all night working out, where do we get gold from? Where do we get gold? So you know what? It can be so tough to understand our English idiom, gold, cervical, cervical, whatever we can do to get the message across to all of our wonderful multicultural community, fantastic. So don't forget, cancer screening saves lives. Thank you, everybody.
Thank you so much, Minister Hazard, for delivering that very important message for all of us and for launching this week's Multicultural Health Week. Now, before you go, I know you're a busy man today, but I'd love to invite our speakers once again to the stage. So if we could have our speakers up on stage for a quick photo with the Minister, that would be great. Fantastic.
Yeah, they're up on the side.
Thanks, Gemma.
Thank you.
Thank you.
So much. Thank you once again to Minister Hazzard, to Kim, Lisa and Tracy, and to all of our guests who were kind enough to present their videos to us. Thank you for joining us on stage. Well, what better way to celebrate Multicultural Health Week than for another upbeat performance to lift our spirits and commemorate this very special occasion. I want to now call to the stage. You might be able to hear them rattling away as they come down, the extraordinary drummers from Cultural Arts Collective. This is going to get your blood pumping. Here we go.
Mohamed Bongoua on the JJ, Yao Lamy on the Gugu. My name is Philippe. Thank you very much.
How good was that? Such a wonderful way to end the program. Thanks so much once again to the outstanding drummers from the Cultural Arts Collective. Thank you so much. Oh my goodness, that was joyous. We heard that djembe means joyous. We heard one of the drummers there saying that, you know, music is food for the soul. Well, thank you, gentlemen. Consider our bellies full. That was fantastic. Well, friends, that wraps up another very exciting and very informative Multicultural Health Week. I want to remind you that all of the resources and videos will be available for download for free this week by visiting multiculturalhealthweek.com and the Multicultural Health Communication website, which is, you can see all the information there. It's mhcs.health.newsouthwales.gov.au. Thank you once again. I think I saw Minister Hazard shimmying out the door. So thank you to him. Thank you to Kim Olsen. Thank you so much to you. To Lisa Woodland, thank you so much for your kind words. Also, of course, Professor Tracy O'Brien, thank you for your poignant address, as well to Galib Al-Bakri, to Shanta Viswanathan, thank you so much. And also, of course, to my bestie now, Lida Mangal, thank you for sharing all of your stories, such wonderful stories from the heart. We really appreciate that. It hit home in such a big way. Big thank you to all the communities too in promoting the importance of cancer screening. Now, we actually do want you to go with bellies full, so there will be refreshments in the foyer. A huge thank you to the media, including SBS, for your continuous support here with you, and without you, actually, our key health messages wouldn't reach the people they need to. So we are truly grateful to you. Thank you all so much for being part of this very special event. So on behalf of the organisers here, I want to wish you all a very happy Multicultural Health Week 2022. For all the guests, the speakers, organisers, the working group, the partners, all of whom I can't name check today, but thank you for being part of this event, this campaign. To everyone behind the scenes, our photographers, our AV crew, thank you so much. We also would like to invite you to the Multicultural Health Communication Service Facebook, the Twitter, the Instagram, LinkedIn, WeChat pages. Of course, if you've taken any photos today, it's hashtag Multicultural Health Week. So that's what you should attach to your posts. So you can help us promote Multicultural Health Week to all of your networks. Yes, and you can see the hashtags there, so feel free to use any of those hashtags. Now, before you go, please don't forget to grab some fact sheets, some postcards for media release, the media toolkit for your use to promote the key messages for this year. And that, of course, is that cancer screening saves lives. Thank you so much once again. My name's Janice Peterson. You can catch me on SBS World News tonight, 6:30. Enjoy Multicultural Health Week celebrations right across the state. Thank you.